We have Medline on 2 different platforms, and I want to show you how to get in to either version. From the homepage, you go to Database and Article Search by subject, and we're going to select the Health and Medical category. And you'll see here we have the subscription version of Medline, which is a database of medical literature, if you're not familiar with it, on the Web of Knowledge platform. Which is fine. Same platform as Social Sciences Citation Index, which I'll show you a little bit later. I'm familiar with using a Medline in the publicly available version, PubMed. It would be great for you to get to know this version because once you graduate, you can use PubMed. You don't have to be affiliated with a particular institution. And I also just think it's easier to search. There is a note down here, however. While you're here at DU, you want to display the results in the abstract view. That's the default of your searching here on campus. And the reason why is that because it will display the article linker link so that you can determine whether or not we have access to the journal. So I'm going to go into PubMed. And I'm going to do a search, but I want to be able to limit it. So I'm going to go directly to the limits function up here and put in my search terms. I'm going to actually type them out instead of truncating them, but you can use truncation in PubMed. I'm going to put in pregnancy and prevention. And I want to limit down here to reviews. You'll see they also have meta-analysis, practice guidelines, randomized controlled trials. The reviews mean systematic reviews in this case. And I'm going to limit over here by English. And I'm interested again in teenagers. So within Medline, I have an age limiting function, just like I did in PsycInfo, and I can select adolescents and then go ahead and do my search. So it was a limit feature that gave me these options, the link at the top right. And I have 916. That's a lot. So we're going to kind of go through and pick out those that might be relevant to give us some clues as to how we might narrow this down. And there are a few here. I'm going to look kind of on the first page. Here's one that's closer to our topic. Teenage pregnancy and social disadvantage, systematic review integrating controlled trials and qualitative studies. That was number 19 out of this set. BMJ article tells me that right up here. I've got a nice detailed abstract. I have related citations on the right, which you'll want to check out. But I want to show you that the record just gives you the abstract. In order to see the subject headings, which are MESH terms, stands for medical subject headings, you have to click on the little plus sign next to that category. And here I'm seeing this is both a systematic review and a meta-analysis. And here are my subject heading terms. See, this one in particular is going to be important. Pregnancy and adolescence, prevention and control. Program evaluation, definitely be important. So my prevention and pregnancy are all bundled into this one term. And then in order to get the full text of this article, I come up here to the right. I would probably use article linker, although I see this is available freely from BMJ. So I would try that, see if I could get it for free. Again, especially once you graduate and you don't have access to the subscription databases remotely in the same way that you did while you're a student here. PubMed is a good version to use, especially if these links do indeed work to free full text access. All right, let's take a look at another record. So I'm just going to go back to my results. And that was number 19. I'm going to have to go to the next page to show you the other record. And it's number 24, interventions for preventing unintended pregnancies among adolescents. And looking quickly at the source, I see this is a Cochrane review, which I'm sure you've probably already talked about. You're aware of the Cochrane Library of Systematic Reviews. Very important source, but expensive to subscribe to. So our library does not have a subscription to Cochrane. However, if you come across a particular Cochrane review, you would go and check Article Linker. It will tell you that you don't have access, but you would use that Article Linker page to request the review through Interlibrary Loan, and they will scan it and send you the link. So it's still possible for you to get the Cochrane reviews on an individual basis. We just don't subscribe to the library per se. All right. So indeed, if we go ahead and click on Article Linker here, you'll see that there's no access. I would request it from Interlibrary Loan. But if I do click on the full text online link through Wiley, this will take me to the Cochrane library database, which we're going to look at in a little bit. And I would be able to get the summary for free. So the summaries are available. To get the full review, you'll have to request it from Interlibrary Loan, and the easiest way to do that is from the Article Linker page. All right, we're going to go back now, and we're going to do an advanced search. And the advanced search lets us choose specific fields. We could do field searching down here, whereas up here we're just doing a keyword search. So I'm going to use the mesh term that we identified in that first record, which was adolescent pregnancy / prevention and control. And I'm going to click an and that will add it up here to my search box. And I could continue to add terms and build it with various field limiters if I want to do that. It's already set with my limits. Tells me my limits are activated for review, English, adolescent. So that's great. And then I'm going to go ahead and search right up here. I have 115. Here are a couple of the articles that we saw before, so much more focused search for our topic. But we're going to take a look at a new record here, and I'll show you. It's number 14, Core Competencies and the Prevention of High-Risk Sexual Behavior. And I just wanted to point out in this case the last sentence of the abstract. We conclude the chapter by providing an overview of selected evidence-based prevention strategies and identifying future directions for research and intervention. So this core competencies would also be relevant for reviewing research and applying best practices. Next database we're going to look at, so that's Medline on the PubMed platform, is social services abstracts. And I'm just going to go into it directly. You know that it's in the social work category, or you could click on databases, A to Z, S, social services abstracts. And the reason why is because I want you to know what to do, how to look for research articles or systematic reviews, meta-analyses, when you're not in a database that enables you to limit by the specific types of publications. Social work abstracts, social services abstracts. Eric, you're going to need to use keywords to pull up those kinds of articles, to retrieve those kinds of articles, since you can't limit for them by a particular field. I also don't have the option in this database, be similar in some of the other databases, to limit by age group. So I have to put in keywords to account for my particular population, which is teenagers. So I'm going to put in teen, and over here I'm going to put in adolescent, and truncate it. I'm going to leave it the default, which is keywords. I'm going to put in pregnancy and truncate it. And now on this next line, I have to come up with some keywords that would help me find those research articles. And that one evidence-based practice website I showed you for the helping professions, that has a lot of alternative terms that you can use. We're going to use qualitative or quantitative, and I can actually type these in here. I'm not restricted to one in each box. I'm going to try empirical. I'm going to try evidence-based. Those are just a few. You could also try research, which may or may not work. Findings. There's a whole range of terms, and I'm sure you could come up with some others on your own too. And do this search. So again, when I don't have the option to limit, I have to use keywords and I have to brainstorm synonyms to pull up those articles that would have this type of language in the abstract in order to help me find those research articles in the literature. I've got 76, 51 are specifically peer-reviewed. Those are the ones I want to examine. And in the databases on the CSA platform, ERIC, Social Services Abstracts, I need to look for my subject headings, my descriptors over here on the right. So instead of pulling together the most common ones out of the set, I've got them displayed for each individual article. And I can see right away there's one for adolescents. I know it's kind of small type, but it's bolded. There's one for pregnancy. Here's another one, adolescent pregnancy. That would be the most relevant for me to use. I think we've got one for prevention and others that would be relevant as well. Let's take a look at this third article here, the implementation of a culturally based HIV sexual risk reduction program. Now this is the one that has the descriptor adolescent pregnancy. So even though it sounds from the title like it's really focused on HIV, it's still relevant. It should be in terms of the subject indexing. And when I read here, I can see Latino youth experience disproportionately higher rates of teen pregnancy and STIs than non-Latino whites. Organizations serving Latino youth seek culturally appropriate evidence-based prevention programs. This is an example of one program. So not necessarily a research article, but close. And let's take a look at another one then. I'm going to return to my results. And number 12, comprehensive sexuality education versus abstinence-only sexuality education, the need for evidence-based research and practice. So information about the problem, about teen pregnancy. And I find that this article, it's a review of the empirical literature. So although it isn't a research article itself, this would lead me to those empirically based articles. Okay, next I'm going to show you how to use Google Scholar. And we'll take a quick look at the Campbell collaboration and the Cochrane library.